What changed, if anything, when we got this joint statement from Republicans on the House, the Senate, and from the White House on what the path forward is, at least in broad terms, for tax reform?
I don't think very much changed. I think we learned that the border adjustment tax is dead, which simply makes the problem more difficult because that was going to create the revenue to do the kind of tax reform that the French finance minister was talking about. You've had a lot of pushback on the deductibility of state and local tax elimination. You had a petition signed mostly by Democrats, but 7 Republicans, importantly. And if they lose that, then you've lost another big source of revenue. So the problem is everybody wants to do tax reform, but nobody can really find the revenue to pay for it. And I really don't think there's that much appetite on the Hill for any real increase in the deficit.
Does everyone really want to do it? I noticed in that statement a small olive branch extended to Democrats. Join us at the table to talk about these issues. Do you have any optimism here that as these conversations continue, you're going to begin to see Democrats coming into them?
You know, the Republicans always say, join us at the table. The Democrats always say, join us at the table. Everybody wants to sound like they want to be together, but there's no possibility, really. You could imagine if a major deal falls apart, you could imagine a smaller deal, some kind of corporate tax reform in return for infrastructure, which is the Democrats' probably #1 priority. But in terms of the Democrats sitting down like in 1986 and, hey, let's all do this together, I think hell will freeze over first.
In the last 30 seconds we have here, is urgency a friend of tax reform? We saw with health care reform a push to get something through on a very tight deadline. Is that advantageous when you're talking about tax reform? Let's move things along as quickly as possible.
I think there's a yin and a yang. I think it could help, but because you're going to run into the election of 2018, and if they don't get it done this year, next year becomes tougher. On the other hand, we did see with health care the blowback you get when you don't have hearings, when you don't do what they call regular order in Washington. So my guess or my advice would be regular order is probably the better way to go.